Sissy Harrison trial today. So I have Jennifer acting as Sissy Harrison. Nicole, you're the court-appointed investigator. Amanda S. appears to be missing. What's that? Yeah. Amanda S. is the DCF worker, and then you are the other DCF worker, Amanda. So if she's late or isn't, oh, there she is. Okay, bye. Jim, you're the great-grandmother. Diane Lightem is Stephanie. John and Jonathan, lawyers. I don't know if you want to, it's up to you, do you want to sit closer together? Okay. And then Joe and Mike, you're already next to each other, which is fine. Laura for the children. Okay.
This is the time which my sister's.
So let's do this, since I don't have a,
Yeah, you can stay with us.
what's the matter? Stephanie, you're a guardian ad litem, you can sit wherever you want.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because you're actually a witness in the case. So I will call the case as the clerk, then I will act as the judge. Why don't we have some of the attorneys, John or Jonathan, you could do a quick, like, opening, either of you. Same thing, Joe or Mike, an opening, and then Laura, an opening. Now, DCF, Joe and Mike, you're gonna call to the stand first Amanda S., who's the worker that worked with the Harrison family, okay? And then the other, Amanda Phillips, the other worker that worked with Sissy since she became pregnant, all right? Are you following me so far? You'll do direct examination of both of them. Laura, John, and Jonathan, be listening closely as the department is doing direct. If you want to make any objections, just quickly stand up and say objection. And obviously then the witness stops talking, the lawyer stops talking, and I hear what your objection is. We will also have testifying Nicole as the investigator and Stephanie as the guardian ad litem. And they're subject to cross-examination by all parties. So if the department wants to call them both, that's fine, or if the counsel for Sissy, wants to call it, I don't care how you do it, but they're subject to cross-examination. And then Jim is Sissy's great-grandmother. Sissy's attorneys can call Jim. And that's about it in the closing argument. So more than likely, we will not conclude today. Next week, we are at some point going to start the children requiring assistance, which were the old Chins cases. The following Tuesday, on the 15th, we're actually going to have a guest speaker. Michael Kilkelly is an expert in the CRA cases. He also was the attorney in the Robert case that changed the standard in Massachusetts to preponderance of the evidence with 72-hour hearing. He also was the appellate attorney in Hillary and Angela, the two of the SJC Chin/CRA cases that you have. So I'm not that worried that we're not going to have time to finish all the Chins next week, because Michael will come the following Tuesday and wrap it up for you guys. Okay? Hey, Michael?
I just have one quick question to clarify. So, this hearing is for parent protection, but is it also for a petition to dispense with it? So
yes.
It's both of them at the same time?
Yeah, because that's the department's goal. So remember that a case that starts as a parent protection case in juvenile court can, on disposition, the judge can dispense with the parents' consent to adoption. So that's the department's goal, and that's the way the department is trying this case. Yes, you're right, that's it. Okay? Any other questions before we start? Okay, we have before us the care and protection of the Harrison children. Let's just dispense, and suppose that everyone's introduced themselves already. So let me hear from the department's attorneys. Either Joe or Mike can do a short opening statement for this court.
Sure. Good afternoon, Your Honor. I'm Attorney Mike Leisman, along with my co-counsel Joseph Glover, representing the Department of Children and Families. We're here today on a care and protection motion and on a petition to dispense with Ms. Harrison's parental consent to the adoption of her twin girls, Carol and Sandy. The department has been involved for most, if not all, of Ms. Harrison's life. The most recent involvement was when the department assigned a caseworker to work with Ms. Harrison when she became pregnant at the age of 15. Shortly after she turned 16, Ms. Harrison gave birth to her twin daughters. At that time, Boston Children's Services was assigned by the department to provide case management and foster care to Ms. Harrison and placed Carol and Sandy in a foster home. Since that time, the department's position has changed that rather than seeking reunification of the family, it is now the department's goal to move forward and to dispense with Ms. Harrison's consent for adoption. The department has established that the biological grandmother of the children is interested in adopting the children, and it is our position that that should be allowed.
Thank you, Counselor. Attorneys for Sissy, opening statement.
John Tereshuk and Jonathan, representing Sissy Harrison. Sissy was a victim of unfortunate events that were out of control. She's not unfit as a parent, and she doesn't wish to consent to adoption for her two twin kids. She's displayed a lot of characteristics and qualities that show that she is fit. Starting when she was pregnant, she attended all the classes necessary to aid in her pregnancy and fostering or raising of her children. Earlier in her life, she was subjected to a lot of instability. That most of those things were out of her control, including the early taking of her two sisters. This issue now parallels what happened to her earlier in life. Every time she had someone of substance, of stability that helped her move along in life, it was taken away from her, starting with her two sisters, who were put in foster care. Again, later in life with her grandmother, who was she was giving temporary custody to her and then shipped around between 7 different homes. In this case, she now has two twin kids that she dearly wishes to care for, and she has proven that she is capable of caring for these children as her attendance at these pregnancy and pregnancy classes and counseling shows. So we are here to reiterate the DCF's goal as to reuniting the family and not breaking it up.
Thank you. Turn for children, Laura.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Laura Lowry, representing Sissy Harrison's twin baby girls. The children would like to return to their mother. As we know from the adoption of Imelda, the decision to terminate parental rights requires first that the parent is currently unfit, and if so, whether it's in the best interest of the child. To do this, we also know that the standard of evidence is clear and convincing. Here we have a young woman who's initiated her own parenting education at the age of 16. We have no claims of neglect or abuse. We have a court-appointed investigator plan that includes income, a home, counseling, and education. And this young woman has no convictions, addictions, or mental illness. Quite frankly, the children are distressed that they have been separated from their mother. They're over 30 miles apart in the state of Massachusetts, and they only have supervised monthly visits. The children need and want to be with their mother. She has the capability to love them, as she's demonstrated by her attachment and caring for her younger sisters. She has the ability to be educated as evidenced by her initiative to take parenting classes. And she craves stability as witnessed by her wanting to remain with her grandmother. This young woman has been motivated in the past, and there's no reason to believe that she is not motivated now. So in summary, the children don't want to be a part of the system, and they do want to be reunified with their mother.
Okay, petitioner can call the first witness.
We'd like to call the DCF worker that worked with Sissy after she became pregnant.
Thank you. I'm reminding you that you're under oath. Back again.
Oh, how did, just,
Make a statement,
Should I
and
stand?
go through some of the
Should I-
qualifications. You guys don't have to stand up,
Okay.
let's assume you are standing, that way you can be looking at your notes and whatever.
Okay.
Okay.
How did you become assigned to this case?
I became
Wait, stop off the record for a minute. So you want to qualify her first. She's going to state her name, who she works for, how long she's worked, what she does for the department, that sort of thing, and then you can get into the case, okay?
So, should I?
What's your name?
What's your name?
Amanda Senna,
And you work for, and what do you work for?
Department of Children and Families.
And how did you become associated with this case?
I first became associated with
Oh,
this.
no. What do you do for the department?
I'm a caseworker, social worker.
What specific duties do you have? Are you a 51B investigator? Are you an adoption worker? Have you done all of those in the past?
I have done most
Okay,
of those.
fine. How many years have you worked for the department?
17 years.
Okay, great. Okay, Joe, go ahead. Good enough.
And how did you become affiliated with this case?
I first became involved with this case when the Sissy's first grade teacher had reported an abuse and neglect report on the child.
And how, did BCS become involved?
Yes, they did.
And how did that come
I'm sorry, what's that? I didn't hear you, counsel. Spell it out.
BCS, when,
I think what he's asking.
Boston Children's Services,
Okay.
they worked
Okay, go
together.
ahead.
Okay, what was the question? Sorry.
Just remember, you want to allow her to tell the story, so she's the one that should be saying it. So ask questions that begin with sort of like when, where, how, what happened next,
Okay.
so that the witness ends up telling the story rather than you doing that testifying.
Okay. And what is BCS?
BCS?
The BCS.
I'm not entirely sure, Professor, and I have to admit that I didn't get any of this paperwork. And I did my stuff on Chris's case.
On Sissy's case?
No, on a different one. I didn't get any of these papers.
Okay, maybe the other Amanda can help a little bit. This is what we'll do. I'll allow you time to read it, but call Nicole, the investigator, because she's gonna tell a lot of the story first, and then we'll come back to you two, okay?
Thank you.
All right? Because otherwise we'll be struggling through. So you're calling, court-appointed investigator Nicole to the stand. You're all set, Nicole? Okay, great.
Point of clarification, the investigator was the one who made the notes, or is that, or the investigator?
Amanda would have been the one, as she began saying, when Sissy was little, and 51A was called in on Sissy's mother.
Oh, okay.
And so that's when the department started working with the entire Harrison family. That was Sissy's mother, Sissy and her sisters. So that would have been Amanda S. And so she's worked with that family up until when Sissy becomes pregnant. Then that's like a new case opening up on behalf of Sissy and, the girls that ultimately were born. And that would have been Amanda P. They're both workers for the department. They may or may not have been the 51B investigator that at first substantiated the first report. They might have been the workers that were assigned after that.
So I
Right.
guess she the one who made this report?
No, that's Nicole. Nicole is the court-appointed investigator. Okay? So if you look at the, at the, I'm sorry, at the first page, number 2, Christine Pashas, court-appointed investigator recommending family reunification, and look to the end of the package, that's Christine Pashas that's signing this, okay? And
Oh,
notice it says social
Social
worker,
worker, that's
youth,
what it
youth
says.
advocacy project, so social worker may have thrown you off, she doesn't work for the department. She's, again, an objective, independent person that under 11924 got appointed by the court to investigate and make a recommendation. Everybody understand that now?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. All right, you're calling Nicole.
Okay, so we'd like to call Nicole, the social worker for the Youth Advocacy Project.
You're under oath, Nicole.
Wait, I'm the court investigator.
Yeah, she's the court-appointed investigator.
Correct.
Yeah, yeah. That's your job, that's what you do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, can you just state your name for the record, please?
My name is Nicole Grimes.
Okay, and you work for the Youth Advocacy Project as a social worker?
Yes.
And you were appointed by this court to investigate this care and protection case?
Yes.
And how long have you been a court-appointed investigator?
20 years.
20 years,
Louis Johnson.
You haven't burned out yet?
And when did you how long, looking at your recommendations that you've made to the court, you're recommending that the children are reunified with Sissy?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And you stated that the department should provide Ms. Harrison with the services she needs to learn to become an effective and loving mother?
Objection.
Yeah.
Objection, lead.
And it would be, except because she's the investigator, both the court-appointed investigator and the GAL are here for sort of different purposes. They're not witnesses of either party, so they're subject to cross-examination.
So I
So-
like
So it's-
yes. So he can, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
it's
He can ask leading questions, you can ask leading questions.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Go ahead. You can
Yes,
answer.
I feel that she needs to learn how to become an effective and loving mother, because she didn't have that kind of stability when she was, growing up with her parents. I feel that, the type of role model she had for parents were, one of an abusive relationship, one that was unstable. And I was hoping that maybe Angela Jackson, who wants to keep her twins, would be able to serve as more of like a mentor and a role model, show her what a positive parenting role model would be instead of what she was succumbed to her entire life.
So is it fair to say that Ms. Harrison is not currently an effective and loving mother?
She is, as far as she knows how to be. She was a teenager when she became pregnant. She didn't have any stability. She was bouncing around in the system. So the kind of parenting that she has already reflected. She took parenting classes to learn how to become a good, effective parent. She did what she needed to do in order to take care of her children even before they were born. So that, in my opinion, is she has displayed that she is a good parent. However, she needs to learn how to become more of an effective and loving mother, based on a positive role model, not just the classes. She needs to have hands-on experience.
Okay. So what you're saying essentially is that she needs to become a better mother, not a good mother.
No, I said she needs to become a more effective mother.
So so essentially she's an ineffective mother then currently.
No, she needs to become more of an effective mother. The way she learned how to be a parent when she was in the system was completely, different than what an effective and loving role model would be for the children in their life. So, she learned how to become a good parent in her parenting classes. She understands basic care needs. She just needs to learn how to be, grow up a little bit, you know, I mean, she was only a teenager when she had these children, so, and they were removed from her, so she really didn't get a chance to kind of connect and form that bond that you would have right after birth and in the following months. So, they would need to learn how to bond, they would need to learn how to get into a, kind of like a schedule of things together so that she would become more effective. If a parent doesn't know a child's schedule when they first move back in with them, then that's not effective. But if she were to have that role model and learn from Angela the schedule of the children, then she would learn to be effective for the children and their needs would be being met.
Okay. Is it your belief that Angela Jackson is currently an effective and loving mother?
Yes, for now, but it's not their mother.
And at any point in your investigation, did you consider the parental fitness of the children's biological father?
As far as I know, the father was not in the picture. That's what it says.
He may or may not live with, his bio dad may
Yeah, there's
live
not much
with
on
his
him in
mom,
the report.
Angela Jackson.
Yeah, so
Who
he's
knows?
not really in the picture, kind of.
You mentioned in your report the possibility that Ms. Harrison might be suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. How do you feel that would affect her ability to effectively parent the children?
I feel that if she were to get the proper help and the proper counseling that she needs, she would be able to be an effective mother because they would walk her through and teach her how to overcome those obstacles.
Okay. But you're implying that treatment would be needed for her to reach that point?
Want to repeat the question?
Was there an official diagnosis of PTSD?
Sure.
Repeat the question, Mike?
Okay, the question is, do you feel that if she's suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, that she would be able to effectively parent the children?
I answered that.
Answer it then.
Answer it again? Okay, I feel that if she were to get the proper help and counseling that she would need, they would be able to help her overcome those obstacles and she would become very effective.
Okay. So with that said, she would need treatment to be able to provide effective parenting to the children?
If she were to have PTSD, it would be recommended that she get help.
Okay, and all of this help that you've recommended in your report, therapy twice a week, school, job training, counseling, parenting training, if Ms. Harrison's attending all of this training, who's going to be able to tend to the needs of the twins that are, at this point, only less than a year old?
Well, there are always daycare options. There are places that will take in children that young. It's the same as any person, really. If there was a teenager that was pregnant, they would still need to attend school. So somebody would be helping take care of the children, whether it be daycare or a family member or something. I'm sure maybe Angela Jackson would be more than happy, since she already has a bond with them, to help take care of them during the day.
And does Ms. Harrison have any additional support system set up to help her with that if Ms. Jackson's unavailable, or perhaps there's a falling out between the parties if Ms. Jackson's not granted consent to adopt?
Well, we did recommend that DCF would be able to help her with those kinds of things and get her set up with that kind of stuff. So there would be something to help her.
Is there any indication from your experience on how long it would take for Ms. Harrison to obtain all of this training and become a better parent?
Each person is different.
Would it be your opinion that it would likely take a long time?
I can't say to that.
Can I? Oh, go
I
ahead.
just wanted to
Go
help.
ahead.
And what was the exact plan for her education again, for Sissy's future, as far as that's concerned?
I believe they were looking for a residential program that would help house her and school her, and I believe it's called the Crittenton Hastings House. And then until they have found permanent housing, she would be residing there, so they would help her, get to school and educate her.
And that would prepare her to live independently at some point down the road?
Yes.
But we don't know.
Yes.
Okay. And as far as your report is concerned, at its conclusion, you said that, in your opinion, the above recommendation would be essential to Sissy's success and healthy development as a young adult. It doesn't say anything about her development as a mother. Shouldn't that be the primary goal here?
Well, you can't exactly be a mother until you learn how to, grow up a little bit and realize that it's not all about you. It's about your children.
And like you said, that happens at different times for different people, so.
No, I said the recovery from PTSD was different from different people.
Oh, so how long does it take, in your opinion, for someone to develop as a young adult?
It's different from everyone.
So could it potentially be never?
It can be, yes, but
Thank you. That's no further questions, thanks.
I have a few questions. So in your investigation, you learned that Sissy's 16 years old currently, correct?
I think she's
Yeah.
17 now.
16 or 16?
Oh, she is,
She
sorry.
might be
Yes.
almost 17 by now. So she's pretty much been in the department's care, I believe, for probably 7 years, maybe around the time of 9 years old, correct? And had been throughout all this time in at least 7 foster homes, plus in and out of her great-grandmother's home. And partly because of the moves, but also partly because of Sissy's behavior, she hasn't done well in school. There was at one point a shins, I believe, taken out on her as well.
Yes.
And did she have prior boyfriends before the biological father? I forgot what his
Doesn't
name
I don't
is.
think it'll say.
Okay, you didn't find anything
No,
about that?
I
Okay.
didn't see any evidence of that.
Okay.
Oh, it says she had abusive relationships, I'm sorry.
Okay,
My memory's coming back now.
so she's had abusive relationships?
Yes.
Okay. Notice how I'm asking her factual questions. I think, Mike, what hurt your case so far, and this is a learning experience, is that you know she's already got negative recommendations in terms of the department. And you were concentrating on her recommendations, on her opinions, whereas there are a lot of facts here that you could be asking. I'm not going to get into any more, but factual questions that she has to admit to that put Sissy in the light of, perhaps she may be unfit because of all of these reasons.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's what we were trying to focus
Yeah.
on. We were trying to focus on
Yeah.
current unfitness, though, not necessarily the past.
Okay, but the questions that you were asking called for opinion sort of testimony,
Right.
rather than factual testimony. So if I hear that, you want to convince me,
Sure.
and you want me to draw that conclusion, but this witness is not going to draw the conclusion for you because she's drawing opposite conclusions.
Yeah.
You
The
know what I'm
difficulty
saying?
I was having was,
Yeah.
it seemed
Yeah.
to me, and I guess maybe some of this is because I haven't had evidence and whatnot, but
That's all right,
the struggle
that's
I was
all right.
having was that it seemed to me, from what I read, that to me, it appears clear in the report that she feels she's currently not where she needs to be, but that she can get there.
Oh, sure,
And that's
yeah,
what I was
and
trying to
that's a
stress
good
on
point,
was,
yeah.
she's not currently
Sure.
there, and then I felt like I was getting a little different answer,
Sure.
that she is there, but she could be better.
Mhm.
And it seemed to me the report was saying she's not there, but she can get there. And the reason why she's not there is because of all this horrible
Sure,
things that have happened to her. So
sure.
I just didn't
Yeah.
really know how to draw that out, because I felt like I was getting conflicting testimony from what the report sort of said.
When does this
So,
sound like that?
you know.
So, does anyone else want to, cross-examine Nicole?
I mean, I guess I would, but she, I mean, I don't think our case was hurt by her testimony, so.
Okay, and you think everything that she would be testifying about came out?
Right.
Okay, that's fine.
She said helped us. So,
That's fine.
I don't know.
Okay. All right. Laura?
I think.
Okay.
So, Ms. Grimes, you have extensive time, as you said, you have 20 years in this particular role. And because of Sissy's time, primarily because of Sissy's time in the department, she's missed a fair amount of education.
Yes.
Do you believe that the plan you put together with the 4 primary components of it addresses some of the shortfalls that have happened to her during her life?
Yes, I believe that the 4 criteria that I have put in for my recommendations will help give her a sense of stability in her life and will teach her how to now stay in school consistently and you know, she knows ultimately she wants her children back, she knows what she needs to do, so.
And from all of your work with Sissy.
Laura, if you would just speak up a little bit.
And from all of your work with Sissy, is there any reason that you see that she wouldn't take advantage of this plan?
No, she's been motivated from the beginning.
Okay, and, you know, as you know, one of the primary tests is the clear and convincing evidence of her current unfitness. Do you believe that she's currently unfit to be a lawyer?
No, I do not.
Thank you, that's all.
Okay, this witness can step down. Amanda S., what do you think? Can the department call you?
Yep, I'll do the best I can.
Okay. Unless you want to call Amanda Phillips first, and we can go back to you.
It was sort of our thought that we wouldn't be in a position to call Amanda Phillips, because most of her testimony would be contrary to the department.
No, these are the 2 workers. These are your witnesses.
Oh, they're the same?
These are your witnesses.
Wasn't one
What?
I'm
worker
with her
that
when
was
she's-
working with her when she was a child?
Yes.
So
Yes.
I'm with
wouldn't
her.
she
Yes.
most likely testify to all these awful things that happened about her switching all
So
around?
garner sympathy
Isn't that
for-
not gonna help our case?
Yeah, it can on the one hand. On the other hand,
Oh,
she's
yeah.
so screwed up
Right.
that she
Okay.
can't possibly, and young and uneducated, that she can't possibly, in the department's view, be a parent to, never mind, a child, twin girls. She doesn't have a house, she doesn't have accommodations, she doesn't have a place, she's not, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
But we can start with Amanda Phillips and you can get more acclimated, all right? Okay.
Can you say your name, please?
Amanda Phillips.
And your occupation?
I work for DCF.
And what
I've
what
worked
do you
there
do?
for 8 years.
And what do you do specifically?
I do investigations.
Okay. And how did you become associated with this case?
Well, I was notified that a child under our care was pregnant, and I got involved in the case after she became pregnant.
Oh, I thought she was the pregnant. I thought.
No.
Oh.
We need to go, Amanda S. would have been first.
Okay.
But because she tells us she's just now reading the fact pattern.
I got
We're
it.
giving her time. We'll
So
go
she's
back
the
to her.
second PCO?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. I was prepared to do that.
So you became involved with Ms. Harrison when she became pregnant?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. And where was she living at that time?
She was in a foster home.
And
Actually,
She was the great grandmother, right?
oh, she was with her grandmother.
So the great mother's.
Mother's
The
grandmother.
mother's mother.
She was with her grandmother at that time.
so she was living with her grandmother at the time? Okay. And was Sissy regularly attending school at that point?
Yes, she was. Well, she started attending an education program for pregnant and parenting young women, so that was run by the Crittenden Hastings Writing Foundation.
Okay. And would you say that she's on grade level for children her age?
Objection.
I'm sorry, what was the question again?
Would you say that she's on grade
Yes,
level? for children
sustained,
her
that's
age?
a leading question.
Can you tell me about Sissy's educational background?
She has had poor attendance in school, and therefore she is below grade level. And after she became pregnant, she stopped going to the education program because she was moved to a foster home in Billerica. She didn't attend after that was.
Did she indicate why she stopped attending?
It was too far to travel. She didn't have transportation.
Can you tell me about Sissy's general demeanor? Was she a happy person, sad person?
She was very quiet, and she has had previous emotional difficulties. She's been a witness to abuse and been in abusive relationships in the past. She has a low ability for concentration. She can't concentrate for long periods of time.
And other than living with her grandmother, does she have any other support systems in place?
No, she doesn't. She has no other support systems. Her sisters are all in foster homes or have been adopted. And they were all younger than her.
You need to keep your voice up.
She was 3 years older than all of her other siblings, so she's the oldest of them. So there's no, her father's abandoned the family as well.
And how about her mother?
Her mother is in and out of jail.
You might ask her about services she's provided relative to the babies, and the visits, her observing the visits, maybe, Sissy is, having a hard time with feeding that one, diapering that one, et cetera. You can make, obviously, you're making up some of it because it's not all in here.
Sure.
But you can assume that because she is the worker for Sissy, ever since Sissy was pregnant, she would have offered to, accompanied her to, prenatal stuff. Then after the kids were born, the visitations, et cetera. So you could be asking her about her observations, okay?
Okay. Have you remained involved with Sissy since the children were born?
Yes.
And can you tell us a little bit about what you've observed in her parenting?
How about you could even say, what specific services did the department offer Sissy? And then she could say prenatal, blah, 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 and then the visitations, et cetera. Okay?
So which specific services has the department offered to Sissy in caring for her children and for herself?
The department has made sure that she had had adequate prenatal care and has attended prenatal visits with Sissy. After the birth of the babies, we have had weekly visits with Sissy.
The
And-
visits go.
Okay.
Don't wait for her to ramble on, because no one's objecting, but somebody should be objecting that she's going into a narrative,
Okay.
all right?
How do those visits go when she's with the children?
She's often overwhelmed for the caring of both babies at the same time. They get hungry at the same time, they have to be changed at the same time. She gets flustered easily. She has a low attention span for dealing with the rigorous schedule that these babies have.
When she comes for these visits, does she bring appropriate things for the children to play with or snacks for the children to eat?
Objection.
Overruled, I want to hear it.
Often they're not dressed adequately. One will be dressed adequately, and yeah, there will be missing, like in the winter, be missing articles of clothing that they should have on.
Wait, stop for a second. If they're dressed inadequately, it's because of the foster parents. He's asking about
Oh,
whether the mother who's coming for a visitation is arriving, with, toys or, something that would be, again, a motherly thing to do. Is that where you were going with this? And that's okay. So
No.
answer that way, okay.
No, she doesn't bring any kind of toys with her. She will play for a short period of time with the twins, and then she will be on her cell phone, texting people, and
Oh, no, we'll let you finish where you're going. Okay, now, did you become aware of any suicidal statements made by Chrissy?
Objection. Sorry. Sustain. Any questions?
In the course of your investigations, was there any reports of
Wait.
Chrissy's-
So remember when I was asking Michael to put it in the terms of services offered? So services might have offered, she might have taken her for evaluations, this and that. And I'm not gonna get into whether this is proper for her to say, because that might have been an objection. You might really need to bring in the psych person, and then again, there could be, Sissy could maintain that she's got a privilege, blah, 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 but let's keep it simple.
Let's just,
So
all this random
suppose
stuff, we don't know
it-
who she said it to or how it even came about as being a fact.
Yeah, yeah,
in the case.
so why don't you ask her, what, in terms of services to Sissy, with Sissy in suffering from, PTSD and whatnot, and through that, she could reiterate someone else that another expert, had treated her, okay?
Okay.
So you could do it that way.
Were there any mental health services provided?
No, you're gonna say what services,
Oh,
she's
what
gonna
services,
say there
okay.
were mental health
Okay.
services, so rather than you
Okay.
doing the testifying, right?
Were there any additional services provided?
Okay.
yes, there were mental health services provided after the birth of the twins. Sissy was evaluated for suicidal statements that she had made.
And were there any other?
Stop, that's good enough, because, somebody's gonna cross-examine and go further with this,
Okay.
so, you made your point.
I just want to get that in.
Anything else? The department is finished with this person?
With this one, yes.
Okay, cross-examination, and that would be John and Jonathan and Laura. John or Jonathan, and then Laura. No, normally it would be mom's attorney to cross-examine the person, and then children.
Miss, I'm sorry, what's your name?
My name is Amanda Phillips.
Phillips. Ms. Phillips, you would agree with me that Sissy's upbringing was one of abuse and neglect of her parents, isn't that right?
Yes.
And
But hold on a second, Jonathan.
Yes.
You might want to keep those questions for Amanda S. Because she would be questioned first by the department, so Amanda S. knows Sissy as
Oh,
a
okay.
child, yeah.
Oh, and she was
So
that
keep
was
it to
right.
what she just testified about. She only knew Sissy when Sissy became pregnant.
Right.
Okay?
Would that be an objection, lack of foundation?
Yeah, or this
It was
witness
never
is
put
not,
in
the witness doesn't even know the answer to that, you
I
know?
mean,
or,
she would
you
get a
know.
report or something.
Yeah, certainly, but Amanda, please go that route.
All right. So, Ms. Phillips, you would agree with me that upon learning that she was pregnant, Sissy attempted to overcome her past with educating herself on how to be a good mother.
Yes.
And she enrolled into a curriculum for young young teenage pregnant teens, isn't that correct?
She didn't finish the program.
And the reason why she didn't finish that program is because the DCF got involved and moved her into a home that was too far for her to continue attending, isn't that correct?
The foster parent several times stated that she was trying to get her to go to the program. She refused.
But redirecting you to my question, she was a faithful member of that program up until DCF got involved and moved her to a place where the distance was too far for her to continue communities, isn't that correct?
GCS has been involved her whole life.
Again, she was a faithful member of that program.
Why don't you ask it a different way?
So, when Sissy found out she was pregnant, she did begin attending the program for pregnant teens. Isn't that right?
Yes.
And she attended that program regularly on a consistent basis. Isn't that right?
But she didn't complete the program.
Redirecting my question. She did attend that program regularly.
Why don't you use a different term? That's a fact. She attended until when?
She was attending regularly.
Look at the bottom of the second page. She attended until when?
Attended.
After the word regularly. You have another
Regularly
fact
until
that she
gave
has
birth her
to.
daughter. Oh, okay. All right, so she attended regularly until she gave birth to her daughters.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, and then, okay,
So leave it, yeah, so you go there. You said to say she attended until kids were born.
No, but
Okay.
then, but it was the intrusion by DCF that moved her. That was the reason why she couldn't continue attending.
Well, yeah, but you can phrase it in a way that she has to
Answer.
agree with you. The way you're phrasing it, she wants to argue with you. I want to argue with you.
Okay. And Ms. Phillips, the purpose of that program that she was attending was in order to educate herself on being a better mother. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
Ask about visitation.
How often was she allowed to visit her twins?
She was allowed to visit them once a week.
Once a week? That was once a month.
Oh, leave it at once a week, that's fine.
Would you say that's sufficient time?
No, don't ask that. Fact, you want him to admit, and you want to put your client in the best light. And what are ways that put this mom that's according to mom's attorneys, is compliant, has complied with all the services. And remember the factors in 210.3, factors that work against parents have to do with, not being around, not visiting, not cooperating with services, etc. So you want to convince the judge that she's been compliant, she's done everything DCF has asked of her.
So, is it in the best interest of the child?
No.
Did she attend the meeting?
That's the ultimate issue, that's for me.
Did she attend every visit up until DCF decided to?
Does she attend visits? She hasn't missed one visit, isn't that true?
Yes. She has left them early.
Is that in there?
How about Laura for the children? You want to do any cross-examination?
I'd like to,
Go
yeah.
ahead.
So, Ms. Phillips,
Yes.
you had said that the department put a service plan in place once you found out that Sissy was pregnant.
Yes.
And this service plan included the parenting at the Crittenden Hastings house, is that correct?
Correct.
And when the court investigator spoke, the ongoing plan was also at the Crittenden Hastings house, correct?
Yes.
So there's no reason to believe that she wouldn't continue to attend this location where she was happy and successful. Is that correct?
That she hasn't been attending, but
Because the department moved her to Billerica and she couldn't walk there. That's correct. So on to a newborn. So you had mentioned that she was overwhelmed. Is it fair to say that every new mother of twins is overwhelmed?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And one final question, in regards to her most recent suicidal attempts or statements, is it correct that those statements were made when the children were removed from her shortly after birth and placed in a foster home?
Yes.
That's all I have, thank you.
I have a question. The Boston Juvenile Court Clinic actually evaluated Sissy and found her to not be in immediate danger of harming herself. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
Finished with this witness? So
Actually,
we'll go
can we
on.
ask a quick question?
Yeah, and what we'll do is Amanda else, you'll be next, we'll finish with her and then we'll finish the class, then the department will have rested. So on Tuesday, we'll have Sissy testify, guardian ad litem, who supports, the parent, Sissy, and who am I missing?
I thought the guardian was in favor
I'm
of
actually
ending
terminating
parental,
rights.
terminating parental rights.
Are you?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, well, we'll start with you then, I'm sorry. Yeah, okay, we'll start with Stephanie. We probably won't have time for it today. Okay, so we'll give you Stephanie and then you'll rest. And then we'll go to Sissy and her grandmother, and that'll be it.
I just have a procedural
Okay, go ahead.
question. So, on redirect, can you then ask the lead question on redirect?
No,
Once it's been,
No.
something's been brought into light by the defense?
No.
Okay. Trying to think how to word my question then. Can you tell me about the attempts made by Sissy on seeking any education after the children were born?
Repeat the question again.
Can you tell me about the attempts made by Sissy seeking any education after the children were born?
How about has Sissy?
I was thinking that was gonna be more of a yes or no answer, and it was gonna be more leading.
Is that objection calling
Well,
for a narrative?
you want her to say something new, I don't know, what has not been,
Well, essentially, the defense was trying to say that it was because of this move that she no longer is attending this educational program, and the recommendation that we're sort of going off of says that since the children were born, Sissy has not attended an educational program since that time, meaning any.
you just ask her, is Sissy going to school?
Yeah, well.
What is she doing now? And that would go to the services also that she's offering, right?
Well,
Parenting,
part of it is,
mental health,
part of what I'm trying to get at
education.
is not necessarily just what the department's offered, but did she take the initiative on her own to seek out the education?
I don't think you wanna go there. I'm just gonna, is Sissy going to school? Now?
No,
Why not?
she doesn't go. She doesn't attend. She's 16 and she doesn't attend school.
What is she doing? What is she doing? What does she
She's
do?
not doing anything.
Okay, thank you.
She's not working. She's not
All
going to
right,
school.
thanks.
Okay. Your star witness is coming up. You ready, Amanda?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Say your name, please.
Amanda Sennett,
And your occupation.
say that again?
And what do you do?
DCF worker, caseworker.
And how are you affiliated with this case?
I'm affiliated with this case. It was first brought to me when Sissy's first grade teacher reported a 51A of abuse and neglect from seeing bruises and marks on her arms and shoulders.
And during your investigation, what were some of your findings?
I can't hear you, Counsel.
I'm sorry. In your investigation, what were some of your findings?
During the investigation, we found that Lorraine, Sissy's mother, was unfit to parent her 3 children, and the department then took the children from her and
Was there
placed them
violence?
with her grandmother.
Sorry. Was there violence in the home?
There was domestic violence between the mother and her boyfriend.
And what kind of role did the mother play in the home?
At first, the mother was a caretaker, but then she started abusing drugs and alcohol, and then started abusing the kids as a result of domestic violence.
So the children.
How many, I'm sorry, you said kids, how many kids?
3
on this
children.
Senate?
3 children.
And could you name the children again?
Sissy.
And their approximate ages, you may or may not have that at your
At the
fingertips.
time, Sissy, I don't have the age at the time, it doesn't say.
Okay, so did she have 2 others?
She did have 2 other siblings, Caroline and Sandra. Sissy is 4 years older than Sandra and 3 years older than Caroline.
Where, can I just interject a question?
Yeah.
Where, I'm sorry, where were the children placed when the department first removed them from Mother Lorraine's custody?
When the department first removed the children, they were placed in their great-grandmother's home, Carla Harrison.
Go ahead. Their first place, she said, so take the next step after that.
Okay. And then where were they placed next?
What happened was Carla started to have some medical issues and she was hospitalized. So the department took steps to regain the children, and the children were placed into separate foster homes. Or they were placed together, excuse me.
Which children are placed together? Could you just,
The 2 younger children were placed together in one foster home, and Sissy in another.
So, okay, so Sissy was separated from her sisters?
Correct.
And what about the father and his role in the home?
Gary is the father of Sandra and Caroline, but not the father of Sissy. And after they ended the relationship, he took off. He hasn't seen the children. He has not maintained any contact. He's not in their life.
So with the violence and the drugs, and with now the foster care, the foster, with the kids being put into foster care and being separated, would you say that there was a sense of instability?
objection?
Would you just?
Objection. Why are we objecting?
Leading.
Looking for an opinion,
What's that?
seeking her opinion.
Yeah, and leading.
Can you describe your observations of Sissy after she was separated from her sisters?
After she was separated from her sister, she experienced extreme nightmares at night, appeared to be very anxious all the time, and appeared to deteriorate behavior.
And what, I didn't hear the last part.
Deteriorate behavior, bad behaviors.
Can you describe any observations on how Sissy adjusted to different environments?
At first, she seemed to adjust terribly, but after some time, she seemed to adjust a little bit better.
And did the department ever attempt placing Sissy in a long-term foster home situation?
They did. At the age of 12, she was placed at St. Vincent's Home, which is a residential treatment facility.
And can you explain why she's no longer at this long-term facility? Just 4 short years later?
She was experiencing behavior problems, and after that, she was placed into a group home in Mattapan.
Did the department provide any other services for her at that time?
No.
Prior to going to the group home, she wasn't placed with any services?
She was placed in a residential treatment facility.
Do you know what the treatment was for?
Her nightmares and her anxiety and her behavior issues.
And after she left the group home, where was she placed?
5 months after that, she was returned to her grandmother's home, Carla. She was feeling much better and wanted to care for Sissy.
And at that point, were the younger siblings placed with the grandmother either?
No. The sisters were freed of her adoption, and their foster parents were taking steps towards adopting them and giving them a permanent home.
Did Sissy have a good relationship with her sisters?
With her sisters, she didn't have a relationship with them. She only saw them twice in a period of 24 months. She wished she had a better relationship with her sisters.
And after she was placed with her grandmother Carla, did she adjust well?
She did at first. She started doing very well in school, doing very well in the home, was going to school on time, doing everything she needed to, but then her behavior began to deteriorate over time.
And were there any other services seeked at that point?
There was. When she was 14 years old, we filed what's called a CHINS petition for truancy.
Why was that filed?
I'm sorry,
Why was that filed?
for her not attending school. After a period of time, she was doing wrong and stopped going to school, missing classes, being late.
Did she give any reason for not attending school, being late?
No.
So she didn't refuse to attend? McKinley High School? Did she refuse to attend?
Wait a minute. What was the question that Jonathan objected to? Exactly how you said it.
The first time I said it, I said,
So she didn't refuse to.
so she didn't refuse to attend?
Why, what had you answered when he said that?
Then
Because
the CHINS petition was filed for truancy, not going to school.
No, and I had asked her, did she give a reason for not?
Yeah, I heard that, that was okay.
And then she said, no, she didn't give a reason. And I thought that she.
I'm not sure if it's a
He went
leading
to-
question.
Because he went to, because she said,
Mhm.
that, he asked her, did she give a reason why she, or what was the reason why she didn't attend? She said that there wasn't a reason. So he went to try to rectify it and say, so she didn't refuse to attend? And try to say, no, it's because she was refusing to attend. So he went to
And then, so then I just, after that.
I mean, he's
just said-
right for trying to correct it, but he's leading her to say,
But then I
she was
just-
refusing to attend.
Okay,
So
yeah.
then I just
So-
asked,
so-
did she ever refuse to attend?
Okay, so I'll take the second question. But I don't know why you're doing this, because you would know that and we haven't gone to that part yet, but the basis of a CHINS petition is the child is not going to school. I don't know if you were getting to that it wasn't going because of her, mental instability or depressed or anything like that, if that's where you were going with
Well,
it.
it's going to the fact that she's abandoning school, so that she's giving up on it, and that we're maybe trying to look towards a pattern of her abandoning things.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay, well, you made that point with her.
Well, yeah, no, that was the
Oh,
last question.
all right.
How did Sissy do in school? Grade school?
Yeah, good question.
When Sissy moved back to
Okay.
live with her great-grandmother Carla, yes, she was doing very well in school. Her grades were improving. She felt better about school, taking more initiative to get her stuff done.
And that was the same in high school?
Yes, when she moved back in with her great-grandmother at the age of 14, 15.
exactly opposite from what, I don't know if it's, I mean,
No,
according.
you got her to say something that I would have asked on cross-examination anyway, because for the those last 2.5 years that she was with Carla, and Jim's gonna testify about that too, as Carla, she was going to school. She does tend to do best when she's with great-grandmother. So,
Right.
but, you know,
What I'm trying to-
great-grandmother is older.
What I was trying to
and-
draw out though was that it says, you know, she didn't attend for most of the 9th grade, and the school advanced her to 10th grade with all failing grades, so, you know, she's testifying that she did do well in school, but I have the opposite of that.
Exactly, yeah. But generally speaking, in terms of, when you look at Sissy's initiation with the department when she was 9 years old until she's 16, she's in foster care for most of that time. But the little bit of time that she is with her great-grandmother, she does do better. That doesn't mean that she's stellar, that she's going to school all the time and doing great, but she does better. So she had to answer truthfully about that, the way that you guys asked the question.
Well, see,
So
I
go
read
ahead,
this,
go back to
I
it.
guess I read this differently, because this says,
Go
well,
back to it. Go ahead.
all right, can I clarify this?
You don't, ask a question,
Okay.
ask a question.
Do you think that, well,
So wait, so when did she live with Carla Harrison, her grandmother, last?
I think it was when she was like between 14 and
high school?
maybe 13 and 15.
Did she-
High school, which might be 9 or 10th or 11th grade.
How many years was that?
2.5.
During that time, did she consistently go to school? And that's when you can say, at first she did,
Yeah, but then.
right?
Yep, so at
So go
first,
ahead.
at first she did, she was doing very well at the home and in school, but over time, she started
Because
to
if you
miss.
remember, just to go off the record for a moment, because we're gonna run out of time, it's in that sort of last piece of her life before she got pregnant,
Yeah.
that she lived with grandmother, she was doing good at first, and it could be she had the boyfriend, et cetera, the chins action,
And they
she becomes
changed the
pregnant,
school.
so she does worse and worse in school, and ultimately, stops going to school. So that's what you kind of want to end with, because that's when she becomes pregnant, and that's when Amanda P. would then be testifying about.
See, I thought,
So-
I guess I just read this differently, because I thought that when she was in the group home, that's when she started to re-enroll, but it said she didn't actually go. She was supposed to go to Lewis Middle School at Roxbury at that time.
Yeah, that's
Not
before
begin
that.
attending
Yeah,
until she
yeah,
returned to
yeah.
great-grandmother's house. Now she's at great-grandmother's house, and she's supposed to go to this McKinley Technical High School, which she refused to go to for essentially all of 9th grade. Was passed on anyway, sent to the 10th grade.
Yeah,
Still
yeah,
refused to
that's
go
what I'm
against the
saying.
chin.
She started doing worse and worse, and that's what your witness just
I guess what
testified
threw me off
about.
is I thought you were trying to say that when she was with the great-grandmother, she was doing better.
Better, yes. Still has problems. Better than all the horrible stuff we just, heard her
Okay.
testify about in all the foster homes, et cetera. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Cross-examination. John?
Yes.
Oh, John.
Sorry, what was
Senate.
Senate. In the Senate, you had stated that, after the department got involved with, Sissy's family, that the children were moved to the house of their great-grandmother.
Yes.
And Sissy was living with her two sisters at that time, with the great-grandmother, correct?
Correct.
And after the great-grandmother was hospitalized, DCF took steps, and those steps resulted in the separation of the sisters.
Correct.
And after Sissy was separated from her two sisters, there was a span of time in which, a 16-month span of time, in which she was placed in 7 different foster homes.
Yes.
And in that time, she had difficulty adjusting to those seven different foster homes. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
But you would agree with me that it's normal for someone to feel anxiety and have difficulty adjusting when they're moved around 7 times in such a short period of time.
I would agree. It's very traumatic for the children to have to deal with this and go to one home and then just be placed to another.
And when her sisters were, or the only remnant left of her family, her two sisters, were adopted, that you had stated, Sissy was only allowed to see them twice in the 2-year period. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
And as a result of the separation from her family, do you agree with me that she had difficulty in her behavior subsequent to that?
You say it again?
As a result of her family being separated, separation from her mother and her two sisters, her behavior was suffered as a result of that.
Somewhat suffered, yes.
And you would agree with me that that is also normal for a 16-year-old put in her position?
Yes.
Laura?
Ms. Senate, I'll go quickly. Is moving from the residential treatment facility to a group home considered progress?
Yes.
And does it mean that some level of rehabilitation has occurred?
Correct.
And, as we know, and you mentioned earlier, Sissy went into the system when she was 10 years old and had 2 younger sisters who were just, within 3 years of her age. Was she attached to her sisters?
At first she was, yes, but then the separation between the two, their relationship started to deteriorate. She couldn't see them.
And did she take care of her sisters?
When she was around and they were together, yes, she would. She would take care of her sisters.
Thank you, that's all.
You testified before about the Kinzer action that it was when Sissy was basically in the 9th grade and refused to go to the McKinley school, correct?
Correct.
Stopped attending. And then the school filed a Chin's petition for truancy. But at some point, Sissy actually began going back to the school because she was afraid she'd be taken away from her great-grandmother's
Yes.
care, correct? And her attendance improved after
It
that.
improved after, yeah, after she was discharged.
And you also testified relative to Sissy and her two sisters that she really didn't have a relationship with them, but she lived with them until she was 10 years old, correct?
Correct.
And she was the oldest, correct? And her mother had at some point become, violent towards the children. It would be fair to say that Sissy actually took care of her two little sisters.
She did, took on the mother's role.
All right, thank you. Do we have anything else from her?
One quick
Like
redirect.
literally a
One
minute.
quick redirect.
Yeah.
You mentioned that Sissy had made some progress in moving from the residential treatment facility to the group home. Did you ever observe any regressions in her progress throughout your involvement with Sissy?
No, not during that time.
Tell us, okay. You're his witness. Say yes.
okay.
Say yes.
I'm so good, yes.
So,
Hey, my
I thought they were
that was a good question. Obviously, the department didn't have that much time with this witness at a time. So you'll call Stephanie first thing on Tuesday, then the department will rest, and then the other council will call Sissy and the grandmother. Okay?
And we don't do cross-examination on
I
Sissy.
better be ready.
No, you're in this hour.
Don't hang me up your drive.